often does that happen though, right? And then to conflate, right? And again, nothing against, because I actually am adoring this conversation, but to conflate the idea of like there being this like assault on parental rights with that like couple mastectomies that have happened, right? Like it just doesn't, let's take a look. Like I would love to see, because I think we're thinking there's like an assault on children that just isn't real, right? Like let's see, top surgeries. We got that. These
250 per day.
That's it. I mean, come on. That's like, we're not even at 1,000. That's not a lot of people.
But you understand the issue is when someone sees one photo of a teenage girl getting a double mastectomy, and we say, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. The immediate response on the left is, oh, it doesn't matter at all.
Okay. Well, okay. So do you want me to go?
I want to say something to that, because I think there's often this, and this was mentioned with the sports. It's just so small. It's just so small. But often it is those things that are small that are just simply a beginning. And I also think that for those, however many people,
282,
for those people, I can't just look at that and go, that's just small. I value each and every one of them. And I think it's worth noting and looking at. This is why, when somebody detransitions, I think those people need to be supported.
I want to know the percentage of those 282 people that regret it. We will be back in 10 years to look at that same 282 people from 2022 or 21 and see what percent kind of, right? Now, hormone therapy, that's a whole other story because there's a lot of medical interventions there. But with the double mastectomy idea, thousands, right? I'll go out and say it, which of course gets a whole bunch of people totally pissed at me. Should you wait for a double mastectomy until you're an adult? In my opinion, yeah, you should. Yeah, I said it and I'm gay. Oh my God. Right. But there are circumstances where it seems to have a positive outlook. I don't think hormone blockers are as terrible as people make it out to be. I think that we need to leave it to the endocrinologist. I don't think we should be kind of swerving our lane. The doctors have come out and said that it is a positive intervention. I wouldn't be supporting it if doctors have not been consistently, we have seen positive results.
I just want to get a little communist here and say, I don't trust the massive multinational corporate medicine industry in the United States at all.
That's fair.
So doctors who come out and say, yes, the insurance companies are paying us insert treatment, I'm like, I don't trust these people.
Okay, well, and I want to say too, I mean, there's been real issues in the U.S. of medical malpractice. Every job field has corruption. Every job field has compromise. And I think too, it can be easy for people, we're not getting into different politics, but it can be easy for people to follow either what they're told to do or what their money coming in is telling them they have to do.
But medical malpractice against minority populations that are at risk for being discriminated against, not in favor of, that idea of, if you look at the medical malpractices that have been perpetuated by big pharma and multiple situations, they're always against minority populations. It's always against the Black communities or the queer communities.
Which is what we're arguing.
No, for this one, we're
targeting
arguing
these people.
And that is, I think, the thing that we're missing that I think is the most nuanced thing about this conversation is, in the end, even though there's opposing views, everyone in this room cares about those 4,231 people, right? We just care about them in different ways. And we think that we know what's best for them. And that's tricky. Right? Because who really knows best for those 282 double mastectomy kind of individuals? Who really knows best for those 4,200? Can't see that last number.
Well, look, they're a child suffering from anorexia, we don't affirm.
Right.
Why?
Right. Okay. Because it's actually damaging in the long run.
Mastectomies are damaging.
And like you said, and then I could see how you kind of trace that, right? Because you go, we intervene because of anorexia, and then we trace that. You intervene because being trans leads to a higher suicide rate, so we need to intervene to stop it from happening. But in my opinion, you don't stop a trans individual from being trans. They're just trans. You can't just stop someone from being trans. They're going to be trans no matter what.
All I can say is, when you look up the studies that we have, desistance rates are greater than the majority.
Okay.
And so you can make the argument that you don't trust the studies, and absolutely, that's fine. There's a lot of studies people don't trust.
Well, no, because that's somewhat of a shallow argument, being your studies aren't right. But no, because your studies are valid.
Then how is there any response to, if we went with the higher number of 95%, you are effectively condemning children to high rates of suicide by affirming something they don't understand if they have a 90+% chance of just identifying with their biological sex by age 14 or 15.
Well, I'm chatty, so I want to know your opinion. But then
I'll add to it too. If the response is, oh, it's only a few thousand people who are going hormone therapy.
Literally,
it's only a couple hundred girls per year who are getting double mastectomies. You also have these detrans stories, 50,000 members on the detrans Reddit, and the posts are saddening and horrifying. The post we read last night was from a 17-year-old who said that where her mother didn't protect her.
So okay, question: 17-year-old trans guy or
female who got a double mastectomy and
so trans was a trans guy
identifies as
female now.
Right.
Okay, so hear me out, and this is a question that I actually want to pose to you guys, right? And really consider it. I feel like your concerns are valid, and I think that they come from good places, and I think that basically what I've read about this and also what I've kind of heard about you, I feel like there's a misconception. We care in this room. Do you think we're making a certain person or group of people in this situation the bad guy, right? Because it's always framed, in my opinion, it's always framed in the same way. Just like how it was always, it's the black people that are going to come after the white people, so we need to separate the bathrooms. And I hear the same, they're coming after the girls. Right? That's always, right? And always these trans conversations. It's always that idea of they're going to try to take the girls and make them guys, and they're going to regret it. The guys are going to try to go into the women's bathroom, and it always turns the girls into this kind of this kind of victim, right? This victim mentality, not mentality, but this victim mindset of we need to protect the women and the girls from the gays because they're trying to go after them. And it's so ludicrous in my opinion.
I don't think that's true. I
don't think it's true for you at all, but I think the general population
I don't see that in any of the arguments.
You don't see that? Okay.
No, it's male and female. I mean, you've got...
I see it really one-sided, but I respect your opinion, of course.
I mean, Jazz Jennings was male.
Right.
Is male.
Right.
And so a lot of these stories are male to female, female to male.
I understand
I think the data shows that the majority of trans youth are female to male. And so that was the rapid onset gender dysphoria argument.
Well, and I also want to add that as far as erosion of parental rights and responsibilities, in Washington state, we've seen where 12-year-olds can make these decisions to start these therapies without the barrier of parental permission. And California is moving really in that direction. And then with the application of these school-based health centers through the WISC model, the whole school, whole community, whole child, to implement school health clinics on school campuses where that can, there's already at least one school, there was a story, I think in Fox News perhaps, but that was recent where they were talking about, I think it was Nova High School, where this was already being administered. And so the idea of an automatic assumption almost that parents are not to be trusted. Yeah. A lot of CSE material, you can review it, and there's a small segment that does say talk to your parents. Sometimes there's even a section that has them go home and discuss things with their parents. But by and large, the message is talk to a trusted adult, talk to a librarian. And it really does, the majority of the conversation is this message of don't trust the parents. And so if we get to a place in California, and if that spreads nationwide, as California goes, so goes the nation, then we will have an erosion of parental involvement in the decisions of healthcare needs of children.
So I'll bring this to a modern contextual story. There's a man in Texas who has a son. His son, he says, is not trans. The mother says the son is trans. Mm-hmm. She has taken the child to California, where she is now given gender-affirming sanctuary. What if she's wrong? What if this woman is suffering Munchausen's by proxy? What if the father is right? The obvious answer is non-intervention for the safety of the child. However, what's happening is the courts are going the other direction. If desistance rates are 60-95% and the mother has taken the child to California and the child does undergo transition, there is a greater than chance percentage that child will suffer because of it.
But the child,
and the law protects her.
Okay, but here's where I feel in my opinion, and this is a bold claim because you are well-read and well-studied, but I do question if you're misinterpreting these studies, because the child is trans, so they're already at.
We don't know that.
No, but we do. We do, because the child is saying it.
No.
The child is not
in this circumstance.
Okay, so the mom says yes.
There's
no.
There's a video of the kid saying, "I don't want to do this."
Oh, well then no, that's a bad idea. So it's okay.
And the kid's 5, between 5. I think this started when the kid was 3.
No, okay, so
when Mario Lopez
100%,
came out and said 3-year-olds cannot determine their gender. he had to come out and apologize for saying that.
Because in a way, gender isn't fully understood. But in that case, we need to allow kids to like an experiment with different things, in my opinion. But that idea of, I know so many circumstances where the mom is supportive of a trans kid and the dad isn't. And if the kid is saying they're trans and then they're trans and then they're already at risk.
But what if they're just confused?
Well, what do you mean confused?
Let me ask you a question. Going back to the makeup point.
Yeah.
You choose to wear makeup.
This is true.
Why don't you choose to wear a jester cap?
Okay. I like this line of questioning. I choose to wear makeup because this is how I'm comfortable, and I don't choose any other type of visual kind of stimuli because this is the look that kind of represents who I am.
So if children want to wear makeup, do we ask the question, why aren't the children choosing to dress up like bananas instead?
That's a great question. And here's where
the answer is fairly obvious.
Well, I don't know actually, because for me, if my student wants to go to school dressed up as a banana,
but they don't.
But if they want to, they can.
Right.
But,
so the issue is social imitation, mimicry, and indoctrination.
Oh, okay. Now I see where you're going with this.
A child.
Okay.
We children adopt behaviors they only can typically acquire from other people.
1,000%. Okay.
There is creativity. I would say typically you find deviations around 20% in most things. Right. It's funny. It works with electrons. It works with people.
Right.
And so a child may take all of these different ideas that she's seen, and then create an amalgam of a perception of the world. Right. And then from that, create something unique and creative saying, I want to dress up in a jester's cap because it's a unique and strange thing. You get, punk rock, people with mohawks trying to be shocking.
Right.
But typically children are just seeking to imitate.
Right.
So when you go to a group of children as an adult man wearing makeup, you are going to be giving these kids the concept of adults wear makeup, men wear makeup, and they'll adopt those social behaviors more likely than create a new one.
It's fascinating that you should bring this up because I've actually never had a student try makeup after seeing me. It's never happened, right?
Well, but you don't know where they'll be in 5 years.
I 1,000% don't. But with that said, my perception that I give, the imitation, that's going to occur is not men should wear makeup. And again, I'm using the word man because biologically male, but I do identify as non-binary, right? But that idea of not you need to wear makeup, it's an option, right? And I think that's fair, right? And I think that's what a lot of people have issue with. It's like you can't wear makeup around kids because you're going to indoctrinate them. That idea of like, no, kids know it is an option. Like,
I'm very anti-makeup.
Yeah, well, and that's fine, right?
Not for social reasons though.
Yeah. Okay, tell me.
Yeah, I think it's typically petrochemicals that result in negative health effects for people.
I got you.
And there's a woman that I met recently who got mercury poisoning being a model doing makeup. And so I see this as a social practice that has only a net detriment, doesn't really provide any positive. I'm not a fan of adult women caked up in makeup.
I got you. And we could say the same thing about alcohol, right? But in the end, people's choices are people's choices, right? You want to wear makeup, you wear makeup.
But you don't tell kids to
do it.
To drink booze
and you don't tell kids to wear makeup either. And I think that's where the distinction is.
And so my position is not that anybody who if you want to wear makeup, I really, really don't care.
Right.
I'm not saying people shouldn't be allowed to wear makeup around children. Women do it too. A male child may identify with a female child.
Right.
My position is simply there are things that have no positive benefit and only a net detriment that children will adopt, be it drinking or doing anything else. But I don't believe wearing makeup is nearly as bad as drinking. I'm not trying to say that.
Okay, you already got me.
Right. Well, and I was going to say with regards to social mimicry, I agree with that. Input often equates in a way to output. Kids do observe. They're very observant and curious. And I think what you feed tends to grow, even as we are adults. I think this is why marketing is so successful. And that's why people have huge marketing budgets, because you can convince somebody to eat that burger and get that vaccine. Whoa. You can convince somebody.
That was an unintentional eyeball. I apologize. That was very judgmental of me, and it probably was on camera. I do apologize.
But it's true. And I think even education, marketing is tremendously involved in education. And I believe we're often getting a bait and switch. I was recently at a conference in Philadelphia, got there a few days early. There was a big education conference going on. Most of what was being discussed, I got to visit with some of these wonderful people who were there, but they did say one of the primary things that they're working on is marketing to the schools, then marketing to the staff and the parents, and then That's the whole focus. So I think we need to be analytical of the marketing coming in. But when you're a child, with your developmental ages and stages that you're going through, the input received, I think and I actually think we agree with regards to this because, there are teachers that do want to promote. They do want to encourage exploration. This happened to a friend of mine. We heard of Abigail Schreier's leaked audio story from a training that occurred. And that audio was shared on the Megyn Kelly show. And I think there are some that do indeed want to promote this. There was a teachers union YouTube video where they did this video discussing a variety of topics, but one teacher said, teaching is completely political in all aspects and realms. Everything I do is political, from the books I choose and everything that I center in class. And so do we have an epidemic of that growing in education? I do think that's what parents are noticing, which goes back to curriculum choices and all kinds of things.